You're welcome back. You're watching Business Incorporated from Channels Television. Now, U.S. oil services companies Halliburton and Baker Hughes have called off the proposed merger after resistance from regulators in the U.S. and Europe. The deal, announced in 2014, would have seen a $34.6 billion takeover by Halliburton of Baker Hughes, creating a powerful rival to global leader Schlumberger. Halliburton and Baker Hughes are the second and third biggest oil services companies that raise concerns about higher prices and reduced competition. Baker Hughes stands to receive a $3.5 billion breakup fee as a result of the deal falling through. Now, failure to satisfy regulatory concerns was not the only reason for abandoning the merger. The fall in the oil price since the proposal was announced changed the financial attractiveness of the cash and shares deal. And to Puerto Rico, which has halted a $422 million debt payment that was actually due today after talks to ease the U.S. territory's crisis ended without a deal. Governor Alejandro Garcia Padilla said in a televised speech he had issued an executive order suspending payments. He described this as a painful decision, but had been warning since last year that the island's public debt of more than $70 billion was unpayable. The U.S. Congress has tried without success to agree a solution. He acknowledged before the weekend that if the payment was not made, it was likely to spark legal action from creditors. A further debt payment of $1.9 billion is due in July. Indonesian workers call for higher wages amid worries about a slowing economy and competition from neighboring ASEAN countries ahead of International Workers' Day. Challenges facing the workers in the country were raised by the labor leaders.
Indonesian workers are calling for higher wages to improve the quality of their lives as worries mount over a slowing economy and competition from neighboring ASEAN countries. According to the National Central Statistics Agency BPS data, there are almost 110.8 million workers in Indonesia, but almost half are low-skilled laborers. According to the same figures, 46.9% have graduated from elementary schools, 18.5% have graduated from junior high schools, and 6.8% of them have university degrees. And with the regional minimum wage in Jakarta being set at $238 per month, workers have a difficult time in making a comfortable living.
Working abroad, I can say the salary would be better than in Indonesia. But I'm an Indonesian, so maybe I choose to be in Indonesia because it's much more comfortable for me. Yes, I hope it will be much more better if they increase our salaries. All will be better.
The country's trade union confederations believe the government should get involved and make sure its workforce is taken care of.
Indonesian workers should get a decent portion. The government should be able to raise the degree of labor and, most importantly, the health and education for them and their children. And I hope there will be no criminalization actions when workers fight for their rights. It's happening in some areas.
According to 2012 World Bank figures, other ASEAN countries such as Singapore have 49.9% of their 3.22 million workforce holding university degrees.
I already asked President Joko Widodo to approve jobs that can be held by foreign workers in specific areas in which Indonesians cannot work. But if workers from Myanmar, Thailand and Philippines can be public transport drivers, for example, it will cause problems for sure. We hope that AEC can urge the growth of competitive fairness, which would support.
According to official statistics, in February 2015, the unemployment rate in Southeast Asia's largest economy stood at 5.81%. But analysts say that doesn't cover the informal sector, and the real figure could be much higher.
And still on labor issues, Venezuelan President Nicolas Maduro And Bolivian President Evo Morales signed a series of decrees for workers, including increases in minimum wage on Labor Day. Venezuela is facing a triple-digit inflation with a currency that has dropped by more than 98% against the dollar.
Venezuela's President Nicolas Maduro on Saturday night increased the country's minimum wage by 30% amid rampant inflation that has destroyed purchasing power in the crisis-hit country. As at May the 1st, the minimum wage will jump to 15,051 bolivars per month, an equivalent of $1,505 at the strongest official exchange rate. Maduro also increased the monthly food ticket to 18,585 bolivars, that's around $17 at the black market rate.
Yesterday, I announced a comprehensive increase of 35% of overall income for workers, which gives us the following numbers. The minimum wage and pensions will be from today 15,051 bolivars, and the food vouchers will be 18,585 bolivars.
He also spoke out against a recall referendum on his presidency that the opposition is trying to organize.
You see that they began collecting signatures to make the request, to see if they have the right to collect signatures, to see if they can call a referendum to revoke the people of Miraflores, because it's not to revoke Maduro. It is to revoke history. It is to revoke Chavez. It is to revoke the legacy of a country.
Since Maduro took over, the bolivar has fallen 98% against the dollar on the black market. Inflation is in triple digits, and the president claims a U.S.-backed opposition is waging an economic war against him by fanning inflation and hiding scarce goods. Meanwhile, in Bolivia, President Evo Morales also announced a series of worker-oriented decrees as unions marched. The measures include a 9% minimum wage increase.
International organizations are recommending no salary increase, and above all, especially that we shrink the state. Dismiss state workers is a recommendation. But we go on. More workers for health, education, and for the police and armed forces, because the economy is growing.
Since the election of Morales in 2006, the South American country's economy has expanded more than 5% a year on the average, one of the highest rates in the region.
We'll go on a break. And when we return, we'll be talking to you about the drop in the sale of iPhones in major markets around the world. Please stay with us.